Thanks everybody for joining us today for the DeFi Summit, for the DeFi NFTs panel. Really excited to join the stage with all these panelists from all different parts of the world and all different categories within the NFT and DeFi sector. So I figure we'll just start off by doing some brief introductions, maybe go around the virtual room. But starting with Oscar and Convergence Finance, could you kind of give us a brief intro?
Sure. Happy to be here. My name is Oscar. I'm the co-founder of Convergence. So Convergence is an interchangeable digital asset protocol where we allow swapping of any type of private assets on AMM, and we also offering platform for that. My background in tokenizations, been in this space in 2017, and have been really working with security tokens since then. The idea of Convergence came from my experience with the security token space, where I found that there could be a real good linkage between the traditional assets and the real DeFi protocols. So therefore, I made Convergence from that.
Awesome. Very exciting. Nikita.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Niftify, an all-in-one platform that allows users to create NFT galleries, store, and marketplace without coding and at a very low cost. My background in blockchain as well as cryptocurrency started in 2015 when I, together with some colleagues, founded Ecoils, which is now a Vietnam leading blockchain and AI development agency in Vietnam.
Awesome. Abhitej?
Yep. Thank you so much for inviting Persistence today on this panel. I'm Abhitej and I lead the strategy and community at Persistence. I've been working with the project since the very early stage. At Persistence, what we are trying to do is create an ecosystem of different NFT products, NFT plus DeFi products. We are creating liquid staking, synthetic assets with bridges, bringing POS assets to DeFi. We are working on creating commodity futures synthetics, that is how real world assets today, like stocks, are being traded as synthetic assets in crypto. Similarly, we're trying to bring commodities futures as synthetic assets where people can trade. And overall, broader goal of Persistence is to create these different sets of asset classes, which are generally not very accessible or are hard to penetrate into, and bring them to crypto for more accessibility. Around that, we are more also working on NFTs since very early stage. That has been one of the core things, because we've been bringing real world assets on to chain through NFTs. We also are working on standards to create multi-chain NFT standards. So we'll talk more about that in the panel, but and have been in the space since 2018. And during 2019 was doing a venture which was around community building marketing services. And that's, through multiple events, met Tushar and Dipanshu, who are the co-founders of Persistence, and really liked the vision that they were trying to create. And that's how shifted from my venture to Persistence, and since it's been a roller coaster ride.
Awesome. We have a lot of different backgrounds here, and everybody's kind of going after different niches within the space. To kind of start off, since this is an NFT panel, but NFT and how it kind of converges with the world of DeFi. Let's just talk about NFT generally speaking. We've definitely seen a little bit of a roller coaster, just like crypto, as it pertains to NFTs. And since the beginning of the year, NFT sales have declined by over 90%. An article just came out by Cointelegraph, and a lot of other media have been commenting on this. It's been a roller coaster ride. So have we hit a bubble? Are we in the bubble for NFTs? And, generally speaking, would love to hear your thoughts on what the future holds.
Sure. Can I talk? I think that we are just at the very, very beginning of NFT. So we are very far away from the bubble, not even started yet. And I think NFTify, our project, as well as a lot of projects in the NFT space right now, we are trying to lead the NFT economy and creating the ecosystem around it to build it up, to take it off. So it's starting from here, I think.
Got it. Yeah, definitely, it needs to have infrastructure in place in order to survive. Go ahead.
Going next, I would like to say is that, I would love to draw this analogy how we have seen the ICO markets boom up in 2017, right? Where you saw left, right, center, everybody trying to create a token, and then the market sort of shot up, and we saw that peak, and then after that, like there was a sharp decline, and then sort of entered into bear market. What that ICO boom allowed is some of the capital to flow into DeFi, or capital to flow into crypto in general, Ethereum ecosystem, and then some of the projects that had the core beliefs, that believed in the technology, started developing. And Aave is a great example, which started then. Compound is a great example, which started then. Uniswap sort of started gaining a lot of traction then, and then eventually for a couple of years that development phase kept on building on, and then we saw DeFi summer sort of explode and take over the entire market. And now whenever we talk about that, DeFi is the future of finance. Similarly, we have seen this with NFTs. NFTs were proposed as a concept long back when CryptoKitties launched, but over this last year or so, what we have seen is NFTs going through that same cycle of how we have seen that ICO boom, where we saw a lot of people who already had accessibility to crypto starting like NFT projects, or starting these NFT sales, and then that shot up. And what we are seeing now is that retracting of what is happening is now these NFT assets are sort of moving from people who had this accessibility, moving towards people who now want to explore NFTs, right? So some of the projects that, as Nikita mentioned, like NFTify or other projects, Convergence, Persistence, there are multiple other projects which are now experimenting what is the next phase, right? Crypto art is great. Collectibles are great, but now projects like Proppy, which yesterday itself launched their NFT sales of real world assets, which is real estate on chain, right? So now we will see for a year or so the real experimentation of NFTs, because broadly we have created that awareness. Capital has fluent into NFT space now. There is an interest, so the foundation is laid in terms of what can be done. And now is when the projects will start working on infrastructure, standards, creating it more accessible, right? No code modules, making it more energy efficient. And that's what we're going to see for a year or so. And then is when it will reach to the normal audience, like normal crypto artists or creators. And that is when we will see NFTs evolve as a creator economy globally, right? So not just people in crypto, but people outside crypto as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to echo that a little more, I agree that kind of it mirrors the 2017 boom where anyone is making a token, and now everyone wants to make an NFT. But what is the underlying of it? I think looking forward, it's what does the ownership represent? Can it represent, part of a metaverse? Can it be ownership of something else, right? As an investment, as something else. So therefore, this is just the beginning of what we define as ownership, digital ownership of some things. And art and collectibles is the first step, but it can't be just anyone just issue something that has value of some sort, right? Everyone can, download a painting or download something and make it into NFT. What's under for us to explore? How can we move this forward where NFT can give us an extra layer of value to the holders, and what does it mean to the whole ecosystem?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree and echo everybody's opinion here. And this panel is really the intersection of DeFi and NFTs. And so, for all the panelists, would you say that DeFi's impact on the NFT space is able to add more depth and longevity to what is missing in the existing NFT world?
If I just to start off on this, I guess when we want to see like real world assets or the traditional assets, if they flow into crypto, that is when we are going to see the massive adoption of crypto in general. And it is very important that there is a gateway to bring those real world assets or traditional assets into DeFi, right? So one of the channels could be actually NFT, where we could bring commodity trades, we could bring invoices, we could bring business documents, ownership documents, as Oscar mentioned. A part of our work at Persistence since 2019 has been around that. What we have been doing is bringing shipping invoices or business documents, which are much like, very unique, like every CryptoKitty is unique. These business documents or these shipping invoices are unique. We're trying to bring them on chain. And then on chain, once they are locked, what we can do is you can use these as collateral to borrow stable coins to finance your real world businesses, right? So we would see more and more of these ways where NFTs could be used as collaterals. NFTs could be used as to explore DeFi. And a very interesting aspect is actually, I saw Stanley's one of the tweet. He announced that Aave is bringing NFTs as collateral. Right. So once that ownership, as Oscar mentioned, ownership or data persistence is one of the key issues. As we solve it more and more, what we will be able to do is define who is the right owner of it, whether the underlying asset holds that value in the market. And once that happens, we'll be able to use that as collaterals. Because, for example, today, if you have to use Mona Lisa as a collateral, there would be so many people who would be ready to lend against it, right? Their money against it. And so we would see more of such things in coming years or in a year or so. And projects like Aave or projects like Persistence are already using it in some of the ways right now.
Yeah, I think we're tackling different sides of the same coin as well. Probably tackling, NFT ownership and what does that represent. For you guys, I think borrowing lending is definitely one of the big part as well. Like it could be real estate, it could be shipping invoices, anything that has value related to the real world. You can use it as collateral borrow, and I think DeFi is great for that. For us, we're focusing on kind of fractional ownership and also the trading aspect, where in the traditional utility token exchanges, you don't really see real world assets being traded that often. And if you look at security token exchanges as well, you don't really see that happening. So what we're doing is kind of using NFT as a representation of either say pre-IPO tokens or even IDO tokens, like those private assets that VC funds have access to or private equity funds. How do you represent that ownership in the form of NFT and kind of broaden it out to give exposure to everyone? And kind of that's the essence of DeFi for us, like giving accessibility to anyone that wants access to these deals.
Yes, I think that the DeFi aspect adds a lot of excitement into NFT space. For example, in the digital asset world, which is what we're targeting right now for our platform Niftify, we're talking about, for example, leasing, which is something new that I don't think that a lot of projects have tackled yet. But we're talking about digital assets like, for example, images, videos, music, that in the traditional world is the copyright, how the owner transfer the ownership to, for example, production companies for commercial purposes. So that is also one aspect that we can use NFT as the represents a way to help owners and artists deliver and then make profit out of it, and also as a new way to raise fund for their projects. So the digital art content world will be so much more exciting. Will be, you'll see a lot of more real artists than in the traditional world. A lot of talents.
Yeah, I agree, and I actually have a more direct connection for you. More direct question for you, Nikita. You spoke briefly about your business, but can you kind of elaborate a little bit more and talk about how you are helping to serve small businesses, which not everybody is focused on? And as everybody knows on this panel, the NFT space is kind of saturated. So really understanding how you guys differentiate is important, and then why you chose to go with Polkadot for infrastructure.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So, NFT can be applied to so many different industries, including, a lot of things are new here, including real estate. That projects like Persistence, working on fractional investment, right? If I'm right. Uh,
No, Convergence is working on fractional
oh, Convergence. I'm sorry.
investment.
Yes. Yes. So we tackle like another niche here, which is the digital content world. Um, we hear a lot of stories in the traditional world where 99% of the talented artists out there struggle to deliver their works to the buyers. It takes a lot of time because they have to go through a lot of the middlemen, and then not everybody has the same views as well as evaluation on certain works. So a lot of them struggle to have, to get funded for the projects. Whereas, as NFT, if we can shorten the process as well as to help them to have a way to deliver their works to a much massive audience, then someone out there will value their work in a much faster way, and then will um, compensate the arts that's worth it. So that's something that we're trying to work on with Niftify. And about the comment that the NFT space is kind of saturated, I don't quite agree with that. As I said, it's just the very, very beginning. We are still pretty much limited inside the cryptocurrency community. And I think that the real world community is so much larger. We have a lot of people out there that are so curious about NFT because I get texts and emails um, every day from the people who are not in the space yet, but they want to know how NFT can help them, and they want to know how that works. So they tell me, "Hey, Nikita, I heard about your platform. How does it work? Can you tell me?" And I tell them, okay, like, okay, so, but we want to try that first to see how it works. So they are very curious, but they also being cautious around it, like, if it really works. So I think that we are at the very beginning, and what we need to do is to educate the general public, the people who are not into crypto, because this is not just about cryptocurrency. This is a new way for them to do business. So I think that what we need to do is to speak in a more layman way to help the audience understand what it is and how it can actually help them to get more people get involved in the space. Um, and for Polkadot, Niftify originally built our platform on Polkadot for the gas fees reason as well as the interoperability of Polkadot. Um, and we built on Polka Foundry, which is the substrate that specialized on DeFi and NFT, founded by T. However, because they're not launched on the mainnet yet, so our platform is actually gonna be on BSC, and we're gonna launch early July. And that is totally yes. And even Poker Foundry, they are completely 100% compatible with with Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. So we're gonna be a multi-chain supported platform.
Awesome. Awesome. That's exciting. And my next question is really more for everybody to kind of chime in. But, at what point, and bridging this gap between DeFi, NFTs, real world assets, will we start to see institutions jump in, big corporations jump in, influencers jump in like they've never before? And, just want to hear your thoughts generally on all of that.
Yeah, I can start it off first. I think the institutions are already kind of jumping into this space. I think DBS just did a STO bond, and that's just the beginning because blockchain by itself is a ledger technology that makes it very efficient to put real world assets on it. The complication is how do you integrate with DeFi? I think that will take some time because most of the institutional players, they do like certain structure. There are things that they have been working on and their existing infrastructure does not integrate well. So I think a lot of institutions, especially from my experience working in security token space, they're all looking into how to integrate it with their existing platforms, their product offerings, and they would like to open it up. But to connect with DeFi, I think there'll just be some kind of gap there since, there needs to be a KYC solution. They need to know who's owning what. And until digital identity happens, there will still be a gap where institutional players are trying to step in with kind of, talking about using Bitcoin technology, but not really integrating with DeFi.
Yeah, extending on the same point that Oscar mentioned, one is the compatibility, right, with the existing infrastructure. And the major drawback right now in the existing NFT ecosystem as a whole is that the infrastructure is still very nascent, or it still needs a lot of additions. When we talk about metadata itself, metadata is not uniform or universal across all different chains. You would have different metadata standards on Ethereum, you would have different metadata standards on BSC, different on Polkadot, different Cosmos, and that creates a huge problem for these institutions on what solution to choose, right? So it sort of becomes a huge debate on which solution to choose or which chain to go with to adopt first. And then the second thing is interoperability as it is today, or broadly talked about, but still in practice it is in very early stages. We have not seen Ethereum assets or NFTs move out of Ethereum as of now, and let alone Ethereum itself. Like, not all NFT assets on Ethereum itself are compatible with each other. You cannot take a rareable asset to super rare. You cannot take a super rare asset to rareable or other. The only truly marketplace where you can take all the NFT assets today is OpenSea, right? So all Ethereum assets move to OpenSea, but we have not seen other compatibilities like across all other different Ethereum products itself. So when it comes to institution, I guess a lot of work has to be done on the standardization. A lot of work has to be done on creating the infrastructure. And one of those Nikita pointed out very well is today, if you have to buy an NFT, first you need to have exposure to the crypto itself. I need to have Ethereum in my MetaMask wallet for me to buy an NFT, right? So for somebody who doesn't know how to first maintain a MetaMask wallet will not be able to even interact with NFTs, right? So it's a multi-fold process at the moment where you have to first understand the underlying crypto, and then you see the NFTs, and then is when you interact with NFTs. What we need to do is that it should allow the first step is to sort of explore NFTs and then interact with NFTs. And that is where you bring traditional payment systems into NFT ecosystem that attaching it to Web 2.0 applications, making the interface very easy. And part of that is what we are doing at Intern NFT. If anyone wants to explore what we're doing, is it's internNFT.org. What we are trying to do is work with Polkadot, Cosmos, Keep Network, Agoric, multiple of these networks to create an interchain NFT standards, right? And it is traceable to all different standards. Like it's back traceable to ERC 721, ERC 1155, or whether those standards on Binance, whether it's Cosmos. And then is only when you'll be able to move NFTs from Ethereum to Cosmos to Polkadot, say to Persistence. And that is once that starts happening, the three key aspects or the key propositions of crypto in general or NFTs in general would be met, right? We talk about what NFTs do. They create accessibility for assets that are otherwise right now managed by these monopoly markets or production houses. So accessibility to those assets, that Oscar beautifully mentioned about accessibility to pre-sale or private assets. At Persistence, we are doing it for commodity trading, which is not very accessible. The second one is trying to deter the middlemen or eliminate the middlemen altogether. That is creating a true creator economy. When would that truly happen? If those all assets have to flow again into a centralized like product, for example, which is invite only or which is completely managed by one team, we're again sort of creating another middleman, right? So the true NFT space would be only will reach its proposition when we don't need any middleman, right? Something like OpenSea, we would have multiple marketplaces, but these marketplaces also accept NFTs from different ecosystems, right? And last and the most important part is when we would have infrastructure to match to say metadata from Web 2.0 world, right? When we are talking about real world assets, at as Alexis you mentioned, how would that adoption happen? Right now, the metadata standards are not even not started working on accommodating the Web 2.0 metadata, right? So the Web 2.0 metadata is very different from how we created Web 3.0. So how that metadata standards match. And the another part is how universally the standards are laid down so that the complications for institutional or real world assets, they don't change by the chain, right? So it's like my email doesn't have to be, or sort of my assets, if I'm putting a picture on Facebook today or I'm sharing it on Google, I'm sharing it on my OneDrive, the composition of that image doesn't change, right? It's just like the underlying standards, like when we talk about email, we have SMTP, right? We have websites, we have HTTP for all websites across the web. Once we reach that, and we are working on that, is when we will see this massive adoption. We will see massive use of NFTs by institution, real world asset, real world organization, businesses, small, big, every sort of businesses. And we would move towards what is the true proposition is creating this creator economy, which works by itself without middlemen.
Yes, completely. I think from the technical standpoint, that is very true. And from a different perspective in terms of business, for example, I think that big institutions as well as companies, they still exploring ways how to apply this into new business models, because this gonna change the way that their business work forever. So they're gonna have to explore, okay, how this will help them bring in the money. So and I think it's a very important question to ask, whether or not uh, how we can bring the mainstream, the big companies to have their support in bringing this into the mainstream, because I don't think that we can eliminate the big companies as well as the middlemen right now. They will still play an important role. It's the question of how to bring them in to have the support, because at the end of the day, they still the biggest holders of the traditional world of where the business stays right now. So I think, is the question of, okay, how this NFT and DeFi will help them change and adapt to the new business model to work with everyone else that already leading the way. And with that, I think the community, the crypto community, and the real world community can meet, and we can expand the NFT as well as DeFi aspects.
Yeah, no, I agree. And something that we touched on before, and I'd like to kind of elaborate on, is more directed towards Oscar. I think one of the evolutions here in the DeFi and NFT space is focusing more on securitized assets. I come from a world of New York City, Wall Street, financial capital of the world, and I also have, an extensive real estate background and experience, and I'm very excited, for that industry to really adopt DeFi and NFTs, and maybe you can just expand more on securitized assets and how that all works with DeFi and NFTs and what you're personally excited about.
Yeah, sure. That's been the concept that I work on for a long time, and I believe that will be kind of the next step in DeFi as well. Tokenized asset has been talked about since kind of 2018, but really never took off for two reasons, basically. One is the lack of liquidity. Existing exchanges, they don't have enough liquidity like the DeFi space that we see, and therefore if not many people are trading it, then the price discovery mechanism is broken. And secondly is the lack of kind of quality assets, like who is bringing the assets to the market. And with some of the STO deals that we saw, there's not much incentive for people to participate. But if you bring it to kind of the comparable in the DeFi space, like let's say PokerStarter as a launch platform is great because they pick and choose great projects that kind of enable people to get access to it early, and also kind of Uniswap where anyone can add liquidity to different utility tokens, have a pricing curve that allows 24/7 kind of trading. That's what we're really working on. We provide a full value chain where real world assets can be traded. And I think from here onwards, it's about, finding good quality assets, no matter if it's a unicorn company, if it's a startup, if it's even commodities, anything that, the traditional space can't get access to, we can enable it on DeFi. And most of what you see right now, let's say the Bitcoin market, when it drops, every utility token drops a bit, but it doesn't have to be this way. The DeFi can have all different assets on top of it where we can, borrow, trade, and do all sorts of different kind of have allocation and build your whole portfolio on DeFi. And kind of that's the vision that I have where the cryptocurrency market doesn't have to leave this space. You will not hear people, buying real estate, cashing out. You can do all of that on DeFi and have this, as your whole portfolio.
Yes, I think same with the NFT space. It's not, like I said, it's more than just cryptocurrency. And as this expands, people will see ways like how NFT can actually help them and bring in new businesses. Then it doesn't have to be limited in the cryptocurrency world, and it won't be affected too much by especially Bitcoin's price.
Yeah, and if you had a magic ball, or you guys could really kind of think about what it would take to get the next 1 billion users into the world of DeFi and NFTs, what would it be? Is it one thing? Is it a combination of things so that we can really get, critical mass into this area?
I guess, chime in on that. I would like to say the key aspect is making it as accessible and simple to start off NFT sort of sale project as it could be, right? So if you look, say, social media sort of brought this next billion user concept into like technology world where they started acquiring users at rate of billion people. So what happened there is anyone could go in, create a sign up, create an account, and then they can start interacting with the world, right? That was so they created those complications sort of. They abstracted away the complications of how to go about creating like or accessing, which were there earlier before Facebook, for example, in MySpace or those sort of things. You had to add friends, and then is only you will be able to access the feed. Today, you go to Facebook, you don't follow anyone, but still you can access multiple like pages or a multitude of content. Same as I guess with NFT Space for using getting this quote unquote the next billion users. What we have to do is create and make it very simple for anyone to create a product or on top of NFT Space, right? So no code modules are very important, or something like what we are trying to do with one of our product is Asset Mental. What we're trying to create is Shopify of NFTs. That somebody, if they want to create a store, they don't have to actually know the integrities or nitty-gritties or the nuances of crypto itself. What they have to do is they get a template online for like how you get on Shopify, right? So Shopify, you get a template on which you just have to put your merchandise. You get an option or what payment option you want to integrate with it, and then you are able to launch it, add it to your website. Is as simple as that. So the same is for Asset Mental as well. What you'll be able to do is you'll be able to bring your NFT products, whatever you want to sell as NFT, on here, integrate into the template. It has metadata standards, everything in like already included. You don't have to code anything, and you could add your payment option, whether you want to go with Web 2.0 payments, that's credit cards or traditional payments options, or you want to go with MetaMask or other Web 3.0 applications. And then you can launch your store integrated to your own website. You don't have to go to OpenSea to create a store, right? So when we see that more and more people will start using it, people will be easily able to create it, and they'll bring more audience into NFT space, and that sort of creates a network effect, which as we know, and next billion users come in.
Awesome. And unfortunately, in interest of time, we kind of have to wrap it up there. But no, definitely great answer to that question. Making it idiot proof. All of these things help to really have mass adoption. So in interest of time, I'd like to just thank everybody for participating today, and looking forward to the next session.